Nobody talks about this part of faith. Not in churches, not in motivational videos, not even in testimonies. Because this part doesn't look powerful, it doesn't sound inspiring, and it doesn't make good highlight clips. This is the part of faith that happens when nothing is happening. When you are doing everything right, but life is still heavy. You're praying, but answers feel delayed. You're believing, but results are missing. You're trusting God, but your situation refuses to change. And slowly, without realizing it, faith stops feeling exciting and starts feeling lonely. No one warns you about this season. They tell you faith will move mountains. They tell you prayer changes things. They tell you God is always on time. But they don't tell you what to do when the mountain doesn't move, when prayers echo back in silence, and when time feels painfully slow. This is where most people quit. Not because they stop believing in God, but because believing starts hurting. They still believe God exists. They just stop expecting Him to show up for them. And that hurts even more. Because disappointment with people is easy. Disappointment with God is confusing. You don't know how to talk about it. You don't know how to explain it, so you hide it. You smile in front of others. You say, "I'm fine." You keep posting normal things, but inside, there's a quiet question. God, are you still listening? And the scary part is, you don't even ask it out loud anymore. You just carry it, day after day, week after week. This is the faith no one claps for. The faith that wakes up tired. The faith that prays without emotion. The faith that keeps going even when hope feels thin. But let me tell you something important. This is not weak faith. This is mature faith. Because anyone can believe when life is good. Anyone can praise when prayers are answered quickly. But it takes a different kind of strength to stay when God feels silent. Silence does not mean absence. And delay does not mean denial. Sometimes God is quiet because He is working deeper than what you can see. We live in a world obsessed with results, fast growth, quick success, instant answers. But God does not rush process. He values preparation more than speed, because speed can impress people, but preparation sustains destiny. You see, God is not just answering prayers, He is shaping people, and shaping takes time. Think about it. A seed does not grow in sunlight first. It grows in darkness. No applause, no attention, no proof that anything is happening. Just pressure, just waiting, just trust. If you dig it up too early, you kill the process. And many people give up right before the breakthrough, because they mistake silence for failure. But God often works quietly to protect what He is building. If everyone saw the process, they would interfere with it. That's why some of your battles are private. That's why some of your prayers are answered slowly. That's why some seasons feel hidden. Because what God is doing in you is too important to rush. Right now you might feel overlooked, like others are moving ahead while you're stuck, like doors are opening for everyone else except you. But what if this delay is actually direction? What if God is keeping you from stepping into something before you're ready to carry it? Because blessings without maturity become burdens, and opportunities without character become traps. God cares more about who you become than how fast you arrive. That's why He sometimes says, wait, instead of yes. And waiting doesn't mean inactivity. Waiting is where faith is trained. In waiting, you learn to pray without seeing. You learn to trust without proof. You learn to stand without support. And that kind of faith changes you forever. Let's be honest, waiting hurts. Not because you don't trust God, but because you don't understand the timing. You replay prayers in your head. You wonder if you said something wrong. You question if you missed a sign. And the enemy loves this season, because silence is where doubt speaks the loudest. It whispers things like, maybe God helps others, not you. Maybe you're asking for too much. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe this is just how your life will be. And if you're not careful, you start believing those lies. But here's the truth. God's silence is not punishment, it's protection. Sometimes God delays because He sees what you don't. He sees future pressure, future responsibility, future impact, and He refuses to release you early because He loves you too much to let you break later. You may feel forgotten, but heaven is very aware of you. Every prayer you whispered, every tear you hid, every night you kept believing even when you wanted to quit. None of it was wasted. God keeps record of faith that no one else sees. And when the time is right, He doesn't just answer the prayer, He changes the story. The people who waited quietly often walk louder in purpose, because waiting builds depth. Depth builds stability, and stability sustains success. If God answered everything immediately, faith would be shallow. But because He doesn't, faith becomes unshakable. Right now, you are becoming stronger even if you don't feel like it. You are learning endurance. You are learning humility. You are learning to trust God for who He is, not just what He gives. And one day, you will look back at this season and realize this was not delay, this was development. There is a moment in every faith journey that no one prepares you for. It's the moment when believing stops feeling heroic and starts feeling exhausting. You still wake up, you still do your work, you still smile when people ask how you're doing, but inside, you are carrying questions you never thought you'd have. Not loud questions, not angry ones, quiet questions, the kind you ask late at night when no one is watching. Am I doing something wrong? Did I misunderstand God? Why does obedience feel unrewarded? And here's the hardest part. You don't stop believing in God. You stop believing for yourself. You tell yourself, maybe faith works for others. Maybe I'm just meant to struggle. Maybe this is as good as it gets. That's the danger zone, because that's not rebellion. That's resignation. And resignation slowly kills expectation. Most people don't walk away from faith suddenly. They drift. They pray less. Not because they don't believe, but because they're tired of hoping. They still say God is good, but they no longer expect good things to happen to them. And that hurts more than doubt. But let me tell you something that might surprise you. This season, the one that feels empty, is often when God is doing His deepest work. Not around you, inside you. See? Visible change is easy to celebrate, but internal change is harder to notice. God is less interested in fixing your situation and more interested in strengthening your foundation, because situations change, but character carries you through all of them. You asked God for a breakthrough, but God looked at your future and saw pressure you're not ready for yet. You asked for open doors, but God saw traps behind some of them, so He slowed you down. Not to hurt you, but to protect you. We don't like that answer, because slowing down feels like falling behind. You watch others move ahead, they get opportunities, they get recognition, they get results, and you wonder, God, why not me? But comparison is dangerous when you don't know the full story. You don't see what they carry. You don't see what they sacrifice. You don't see what will break them later. God sees the full picture, and sometimes He withholds a blessing because it would destroy you before it develops you. We think God's favor means speed, but often God's favor means delay. Delay gives you time to grow roots, because when storms come, and they always do, surface-level faith collapses. Deep faith stands. Right now, God is teaching you how to stand without applause, how to obey without reward, how to trust without reassurance. That's not punishment, that's training. Think about the strongest people you know. They weren't built in comfort, they were shaped in pressure. Muscles don't grow without resistance. Faith doesn't grow without testing. And yes, testing hurts. It stretches you, it exposes insecurities, it brings fears to the surface, but it also reveals strength you didn't know you had. Some of the prayers you're still waiting on are connected to the person you're becoming. God answers who before He answers what, because if He gives you the promise before you're prepared, you'll either misuse it or lose yourself in it. So God works quietly. He works when no one is clapping. He works when progress feels invisible. He works when you feel overlooked. And that's intentional, because pride can ruin purpose, and humility protects destiny. Right now, you are learning humility without humiliation. You are learning patience without applause. You are learning endurance without recognition. And that combination creates unshakable faith. The enemy hates this season because faith that survives silence cannot be manipulated later. Once you learn to trust God without constant reassurance, you become dangerous to fear. Fear loses control when faith doesn't depend on feelings. And that's why this season feels intense. You are not breaking. You are breaking through internally. You are learning to worship without music, to pray without emotion, to obey without explanation. That kind of faith is rare, and rare faith carries rare assignments. God does not waste pain. Every delay is shaping discernment. Every disappointment is building wisdom. Every unanswered prayer is strengthening surrender. You are becoming someone who can handle weight. Weight of responsibility, weight of influence, weight of blessing, because light faith collapses under heavy calling, but deep faith holds steady. So if you feel tired, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been strong for a long time. If you feel confused, it doesn't mean you're lost. It means God is stretching your understanding. If you feel unseen, it doesn't mean you're forgotten. It means you're being prepared privately. The world celebrates arrival. God celebrates readiness. And readiness happens in secret. Right now you are closer than you think, not closer to a reward, closer to a transformation. And once that happens, the breakthrough won't just change your situation, it will change you. There comes a moment when faith stops asking questions and starts listening differently. Not louder, not clearer, but deeper. You don't suddenly get all the answers. Life doesn't instantly change overnight. Problems don't magically disappear, but you change. Something inside you settles. You stop fighting God for explanations and start trusting Him with direction. And that's the shift. See, most people think faith is about certainty. It's not. Faith is about alignment. It's about coming into agreement with God even when you don't understand His timing. There is a quiet strength that comes when you stop saying, "God, explain everything to me," and start saying, "God, lead me, even if I don't see the whole path." That's when fear loses its grip, because fear feeds on uncertainty, but faith learns to walk with it. At some point, you realize something important. God was never late. He was working on layers you couldn't see. While you were asking for answers, God was building endurance. While you were praying for speed, God was strengthening stability. While you were worried about when, God was focused on who, because timing without maturity creates collapse. And God refuses to give you something that will break you later. Think about it. If God answered every prayer instantly, we would chase blessings without learning dependence. We would love outcomes more than we love God. So God slows things down to deepen the relationship. Not to punish, not to ignore, but to anchor. Right now you are not standing in delay. You are standing in development, and development doesn't look impressive. It looks boring, lonely, unnoticed. But development is where destiny gets shaped. No one applauds preparation. Everyone applauds results. But God celebrates preparation because He knows what's coming. There comes a moment when faith stops asking questions and starts listening differently. Not louder, not clearer, but deeper. You don't suddenly get all the answers. Life doesn't instantly change overnight. Problems don't magically disappear, but you change. Something inside you settles. You stop fighting God for explanations and start trusting Him with direction. And that's the shift. See, most people think faith is about certainty. It's not. Faith is about alignment. It's about coming into agreement with God even when you don't understand His timing. There is a quiet strength that comes when you stop saying, "God, explain everything to me," and start saying, "God, lead me, even if I don't see the whole path." That's when fear loses its grip, because fear feeds on uncertainty. But faith learns to walk with it. At some point, you realize something important. God was never late. He was working on layers you couldn't see. While you were asking for answers, God was building endurance. While you were praying for speed, God was strengthening stability. While you were worried about when, God was focused on who. Because timing without maturity creates collapse. And God refuses to give you something that will break you later. Think about it. If God answered every prayer instantly, we would chase blessings without learning dependence. We would love outcomes more than we love God. So God slows things down to deepen the relationship, not to punish, not to ignore, but to anchor. Right now you are not standing in delay, you are standing in development. And development doesn't look impressive. It looks boring, lonely, unnoticed. But development is where destiny gets shaped. No one applauds preparation. Everyone applauds results. But God celebrates preparation because He knows what's coming.